The Casio G-Shock Move GBD-H2000 is a big step up for Casio as they continue to push further into the sports watch space, combining what G-Shocks are traditionally known for, which is a pretty much indestructible design alongside an excellent battery life, with pretty much all of the sports watch features that you would want, from heart rate to workout tracking to sleep and recovery, as well as dual band GPS and more. So there's a lot to like here, and the improvements G-Shock have made are significant. But does the G-Shock GBD-H2000 offer enough to make it worth it? And who would benefit the most or the least from choosing this sports watch? And if you appreciate fitness tech reviews that get right to the point without wasting your time, make sure to like or even subscribe to connect the watts to see even more videos just like this. Okay, so first off, the LCD display here actually looks pretty darn good. Whereas most sports watches nowadays have moved away from LCD towards either an AMOLED or a memory in pixel display like the G-Shock Move DWH5600, it's pretty impressive that Casio is able to make this LCD display look so good, as it is extremely easy to read whether indoors or outdoors or even in direct sunlight. Covering the display is just a simple mineral glass, which normally would be more prone to scratching and damage compared to more typically used Gorilla Glass or even sapphire in some cases, but that's not really a concern here at all, thanks to the protective design of the G-Shock GBD-H2000, which has these large lugs surrounding the glass, which do a lot to help prevent anything from hitting it directly. And that toughness is one of the biggest benefits of using a G-Shock like this versus most other sports watches. This thing can handle pretty much anything that you throw at it. It's shock absorbent, water resistant up to 2,000 meters, and can just withstand a ton of rough use without any issue whatsoever, which for some athletes, and I'm thinking specifically CrossFit athletes, may really like this because you can smack this thing around with kettlebells and other weights without having to worry about it. Now, it's not the smallest watch with a total weight of 63 grams, but it is smaller, lighter, and most importantly, thinner than its predecessor, which is good because it actually is pretty comfortable to wear even while sleeping in bed. And the screen here also helps extend the battery life through solar charging, so the battery will last even longer the more you are outside in the sun. The battery life overall is very solid and depends somewhat on the settings and how much you utilize the GPS for training. For most people, it should last around 7 days, though that can be extended to 2 weeks if you adjust the settings to stop tracking your heart rate outside of training and sleep, or even 2 months if you just turn off the heart rate and GPS tracking altogether. Another important feature that I liked are these 5 large buttons surrounding the G-Shock GBD-H2000. I recently reviewed the G-Shock Move DWH5600 and noted that the buttons there were very small and difficult to press while on a run, but that is not going to be an issue here given how large and easy to press these buttons are. And when tracking workouts, you can choose from a handful of activities like running, walking, trail running, swimming, gym workouts, and cycling. The options though are still pretty limited when compared to most modern sports watches, but it is more than G-Shock has had in the past. And each sports profile can be adjusted with different screens and metrics, which can all be customized via the app. Now, in terms of accuracy, I found this watch to be excellent across the board. Casio has partnered with Polar to help ensure very accurate data, and I think they did a great job. The heart rate accuracy is very solid, maybe not as dead on as the very best watches like the Apple Watch, but still very close and very consistent. The GPS here is dual band, which helps improve the accuracy significantly, especially compared to single band GPS, which you would also find in the Apple Watch, especially when running near buildings or when trail running with cliffs nearby. Now, the G-Shock GBD-H2000 also tracks sleep and recovery through heart rate variability or HRV, and this too is very accurate and in line with most of the other top-rated sleep trackers. The HRV tracking I actually really like here as it uses Polar's algorithms, which place more of an emphasis on data taken closer to when you wake up, similar to how Whoop does it, which makes this data, in my opinion, a lot more actionable and reliable if you want to use that data to help you make decisions about adjusting your day-to-day training. The only downside here is that most of this information is not available to be seen directly on the watch itself, but has to be found within the Casio app. And the Casio app in its current state, well, I'm just not a big fan of it. It just feels a bit disorganized with lots of important data sort of hidden behind multiple screens, so you sort of have to know what you are looking for to find some of the valuable information that the G-Shock tracks. The app also does a pretty poor job of organizing your data into easy to read adjustable charts for long-term tracking and insights, and this actually wouldn't be a huge issue at all, except for the fact that the Casio app doesn't integrate with third-party programs like Strava and doesn't even allow you to export your data for you to get it off the app into something more useful. And to be quite honest, that's a deal breaker for me, because even if they were to make improvements to the Casio app, I still want the ability to have this data exported to other places. And until that is made possible, it's going to be a big problem for at least me, and I imagine some others. And if it's not a problem for you, then that's great, because that's one of the biggest downsides currently. There are a few other downsides which make the G-Shock GBD-H2000 a tough choice. For example, there's no music integration and there's no navigation whatsoever, so I don't think this is going to be the top choice for dedicated runners or cyclists. But again, I do see the advantage of this sports watch, especially for those who participate in sports like CrossFit, who just really need a tough sports watch that can handle a beating while still providing very accurate data. So I definitely think there's an audience for it, and I think that audience will continue to grow if Casio continues to innovate with these G-Shocks as they have already. And if you haven't seen it yet, I also suggest checking out my review of the G-Shock Move DW-H5600 here. This is Colin Jenkins, and as always, I appreciate you for being here, and I'll see you next time.